into the question and answer session, and he will be coming up to do a brief introduction. I'm so excited this morning because when I saw the video, I was like, wow, this is awesome. So the drama department, they put together a skit to kind of serve as an introduction to the topic of immigration and some of the challenges people face. Do I need to get the table out of the way? Do I need to take this out? It's okay, okay. So we'll watch a brief video clip. But before we do that, before I get ahead of myself, like we all know, we will use Slido to ask questions and answer questions. The topic and the hashtag for today is Farm Sunday. Can we please put it up? The hashtag so that people can get on Slido on their phone. Okay, yeah, that's it there. Can we all see it? So if you go to slido.com, the place where you can ask your questions anonymously is hashtag Farm Sunday. I'm sure there are many questions that a lot of us that we have, but I believe that God will help us this morning to get some clarity. Can we put up the video now? So after the video clip, Barisanwa will come up. We will talk for about a couple of minutes. Then we'll just go straight into questions. Hashtag Farm Sunday.
Hello? Hello? Fred? Guy, are you still sleeping? Hello? I've told you sleep and worry is not going to help. Guy, are you still sleeping? Anyway, I called to let you know that girl, remember that American girl? She has agreed to marry. She don't agree to marry for papers. So the ball is in your court at this point. I've told you to do this thing. This is the only option that you have. Fred? Hello? Can you hear me? Guy? Fred? This guy is not serious. You're not serious at all. Guy? This guy is not serious. You're not serious at all.
My darling. Ooh. Hello? Hi, darling. How are you? Yes, I'm fine. No, sorry. I'm so sorry it took long to answer. Actually, I was trying to make some food for Anna. Yes, she's fine. She's actually sleeping. Oh, yeah, she's sleeping until this time because she slept very late, you know. She cried a lot last night, and you know, Sister Jenny is so sweet. She actually left her room to come and help me put her back to bed. Yeah, can you imagine? Yeah, they're really a very wonderful family. Yes, I did manage to get some rest. No, they're actually not at home. They went out. Yes, we can talk. It's a good time to talk. Okay, yes, love. What do you mean, when am I coming back? But honey, we already spoke about this. I told you about my plan and you never said anything. What do you mean, what plan? Okay, I told you about my reasons. Yes, I told you that I can tell them about the current persecution going on in the country, the kidnapping, Boko Haram situation, and domestic abuse. No, I am not trying to paint you as abusive, but these are good reasons that will make them understand why I'm not trying to come back. So I'll be able to file as a refugee and they'll grant me asylum status. I do fear God, but I also fear the current situation we're in if I come back. And if you see this house that I'm living in, this is something that we can achieve. This house is just. Honey, you have to come here. I cannot come back. All I want is to gain status here so I can find a way to bring you here. I cannot come back right now. Why don't you understand? It's not. Hello? Hello? He hung up on me. Said we have many problems, and all he heard is that he's the problem.
Praise God. What we just saw there is the reality for some of us. And hopefully this morning we can get some clarity on how to address them. So I'll bring up Barrister Nwawa to do just a 10 minutes intro into what is the situation with immigration today, what are the things that is going on. Then after that, if you don't have the Slido link, once again, the hashtag is Farm Sunday. That's it, the Farm Sunday. How many of us have connected already? How many of us have connected already? Okay. So I'll bring Barrister Nwawa to please come up and speak for 10 minutes.
It's good to be here, and glory be to God. We must have God as our foundation. I said this to my children. I said, when you see the lizard running away from the tree, that lizard is going to be caught. But when a lizard is running towards a tree, our tree is the God Almighty. And let's make sure that we don't run away from God Almighty. And since this is a family Sunday, I will be mistaken if I don't say happy anniversary to my wife. We have married for 26 years, and I said that they put me on diet. I said I'm going to tell my people that she's starving me. But anyway, I saw the slide that was just shown. I felt a little bit emotional because these are some of the issues I confront with every day. And people come into my office and I don't have, and the solution is not that clear for them. And, and I know exactly what that means. Family breakups, separations here and there. And there's no easy answer for some of these people. And for some of us, and I know exactly what they're going through. So when I saw the slide, I felt a little bit emotional because I do feel the pains of my clients. As a lawyer, you put yourself in the shoes of your clients, and that's the only way you can defend them well. And so whatever they're going through becomes what you're going through. And you will sometimes hear us say, we, when we are referring to our clients. So in that case, it becomes my client and myself. So I'm no longer saying him or her, but we, because their problem becomes also your problem. Now, with immigration, I'm an immigration attorney, and during the Trump administration, things became very rough for immigration, for immigrants, because the aim of that administration was to make it difficult, really, for people to, to come to this country. That particular policies that was in place is still going on now, because the policies are there, and before, even though we have new administration, some of those policies are difficult to, to get rid of. And because of the pandemic, you have a lot of backlogs of immigration matters that are pending. You know that the immigration office closed for about 8 months. For that reason, there's a backlog. You have people, things that you can easily file, and within a couple of weeks you get response. Some of them are staying for months and months and months. And for families that are trying to bring their loved ones here, even though their paperwork have been completed, it still takes years. I still have people that the paperwork have been completed since 2019, and they still, the immigration, the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria and many other foreign countries have not opened to call them for interview, so they are still there. And so you have those backlogs, and you have the whole idea that the immigration is no longer as friendly as it used to be to immigrants. So, but we cannot give up, however. My advice in immigration matters is to be patient. There is no quick fix. You have to be patient. And I say this has been my attitude. And the attitude I give to my clients, I say, remember that no matter what happens, you are from somewhere. And if the push comes to shove, yes, I know that we're all running away from issues in our countries, but we're still from somewhere. And then so you follow the law, do your best, and leave the remainder to the God Almighty to give you the solution. There was a couple of years ago, there was a woman that came to my office from Liberia, and there was no solution for her immigration problem. But she had their children. One of the children are growing. In fact, one of the daughter at the time was about, I think the daughter was about 15 at the time. I said, what you need to do is now have patience. I said, just have patience. Now continue to do whatever you are doing. And when the time comes, you will be, you'll be remembered. She had patience, and the daughter graduated from a university a few years ago, and then put papers for the mother. The mother is now, has her papers, because she waited for a couple of years. But she finally did get her papers. And I heard something about asylum here. A lot of people think that the easy way is asylum. I call asylum a one-way street. In other words, once you go into it, you have said, now, if you are here, a lot of times they are not looking for you. But once you file asylum, you say, here I am. Look at me where I am. And most of the time, most asylums are not approved. Most of them are not approved. And once it's denied, your case is going to the immigration court for removal from this country. And I say to people, before you say, here I am, you better, you better make sure that you truly have something that will qualify you for asylum. Asylum, you have to show persecution, where you come from. The fact that you have Boko Haram there, this thing here, herdsmen there, that does not, in one section of the country, you can go to the other section of the country and live. And, because you have it in the north, in the northwest, it's southwest and southeast and all this, they are there. They're not going to grant you asylum. If that is the reason to grant asylum, then everyone from every country will get asylum here. So I said to you, before you put that child asylum, you better be know that you are heading, you are saying, come and get me, here I am. So, and I also saw something in the slide about applications based on marriage and things like that. There is no easy way on that. It is not really. It's not really, people think it's the best way, but once you get into it, it's a mess. It's really a mess. Not only the fact that you have emotional torments about maybe you have a spouse there, and then now you're saying that I'm not married to my spouse, and now I'm going to this person. Not only the emotional torments, this thing again is now the immigration office has wisened up. It's difficult now, and I have seen a lot of fake divorce papers before they used to go through. Now, they actually go to the offices, the courthouses, and look at whether your divorce paper is actually a divorce. And the unfortunate part of it is that a lot of those divorce papers are not in court because some of them are fake. A lot of them are fake. In fact, I went to an immigration interview with a client. He already got his green card. Now it's a citizenship. And when we went there, the attorney, of course, they said to me, "Oh, I'm glad you're here with him." And I said, "Why are you here with him? You know that I'm going to be here with him anyway." And he said, "Well, we're not going to approve his citizenship because we discovered the divorce was fake. Even though he has his green card now, qualified now to be a citizen, now they have discovered that the divorce was fake." And I said, "Okay." I said, "That could not be. Bring it. It's a divorce paper. It is real. It's divorce NISI. It's absolute divorce. The type we bring from Nigeria, for example. So this is good." He said, the immigration officer called me and said, "Mr. Noah, we know that you're going to fight for your client, but this is a fake. We discovered it's a fake." Okay. I said, "Okay, we're going to withdraw the citizenship application." And then, okay, when I asked my client, "Is this divorce paper fake?" Well, he said to me, "I paid a lawyer to do that." I said, "Call the lawyer and make sure that the lawyer actually did the work." He called the lawyer. So before I start fighting, I want to know what I'm fighting for. He called the lawyer, and the lawyer, we discovered that the lawyer did not file the proper divorce. The divorce was fake. And then I said, now, what we're going to do is to make sure that we preserve you as your green card because we're going to have to fight for you to keep your green card because they could also revoke it. But anyway, that is my introduction, for you. And if you have any questions, and please, whatever I'm saying here or whatever answer that I'm going to give is not a legal answer to your specific question. Because every immigration case has specifics. So whatever general answer I give, do not take it that it's a solution to your own specific issue. If you have an immigration matter, I will advise you to consult with a lawyer. And I'm going to say this, because from Nigeria, we are jack of all trade, master of none. If you have immigration issue, please consult with a lawyer. This is not the days you do it yourself. If you do, you are bound to regret it, please. Okay? So, but that's my introduction. If anyone has any question, I'll be glad to answer.
Thank you, sir. Please, you can go back to yours.
Okay.
So, I see that a lot of people have started putting up questions. Let me do this. Let's move this out of the way so that everybody can see the questions. Can we put up the questions, sir? Can you see the question? Yes. If you click on that, yeah, okay. Yes, sir. So the first question that we have is, somebody says, what can someone that has I-130 application has been denied twice, what can they do? You don't have to stand up, sir. You can sit down.
Well, I like to see the people I'm talking to. If you are I-30 is denied, you have the right to appeal to the Board of Immigration Appeals. And the person that have that right is the petitioner. So you have, and that's just like I said, if you had a lawyer, then the lawyer should of course advise you that you have the right to appeal a denial of your I-130. And if you don't appeal it, of course now you have filed twice, so I think it's time that you probably think about appeal to the Board of Immigration Appeals. And if you did it yourself, and by yourself, you may think about getting a lawyer to do it the next time for you. Because there are certain little things in this application that you may not know, but the law governing immigration is quite broad, and some of them are intricate, that you may see the forms, they look, you can fill them out, but one little mistake, everything will unravel. Okay?
I think there's a just a quick reminder that if you have a question that is similar to any of the questions on the board on Slido, you can just check on the box so that that question goes up. We can see that a lot more people have questions there. I think the second question here is somebody who is a student. How can they get status? Of winning the application for the appeal.
Well, if nobody's going to guarantee you anything, so it depends on what grounds you are petitioning, and so even a lawyer will not say to you you're going to win it or it's not going to win it. But depending on the facts of your case, then one will be able to say to you, it is good, it's good for you to appeal, or this is a hopeless case. This is the importance of meeting a specialist who will look at your application and say, this is not good. I've had some clients that came to me with cases and I said, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not comfortable with this, but if you still want to go forward, then it's your case, but I'm not comfortable with it. So when you meet a lawyer, then he'll tell you whether this is a good case to appeal or not. Okay?
Thank you, sir. There's a question there. Somebody said, 7 years I filed for my sister in 2013. Oh, okay. So the question is, how long does it take when people file for, say, siblings? They are filing for their relations, based on the things you explained right now.
When you are filing for parents or for children that are underage, they are immediate relatives. So visa is immediately available for them. But when you are filing for a brother or sister, okay, when you're filing for a brother or a sister, it could take over up to 10 to 12 years because they are not immediate relatives. Okay?
One class.
Okay.
I think a question is, it says, how can one get status here if they come in as a student? So if somebody comes in as a student, what are the options to transition from that status?
Well, there's no automatic transition. You are a student, unless you also have a relative that is filing for you. If you have a husband, you have a spouse, you have a child that is qualified to petition for you, that's the only way you're going to. Now, the other way is that if you have studied in the area that is needed in this country, and then you're able to get your employer to petition for you, in that case, that could also happen. There was a time that this country had a scarcity of nurses. In that case, nurses came here through their employers. And so also in some other technical areas also, that also can also work. But if you don't, you still have to go through the process of somebody petitioning for you.
I just want to ask a follow-up question on that. I know that there are people, maybe at the master's, PhD level, that do file on their, or I don't know the name they call it now, self-petition based on maybe they are doing something that is of national importance and things like that. Do people have those kind of options?
Yes, if you are qualified on that ground, yes, you can petition, even though the success rate is not as, it has to be something that this nation is, don't have a lot of it. Okay, so in that case, you stand a chance of being approved. But if it's something, if it's a profession that they have people here and there, it doesn't work out that way. Sometimes it's better that you get an employer that actually needs you. And that employer will, of course, indicate that you've been looking for people to fill that position, and they could not find Americans to fill it, that you are the one that's going to do the job for them. So that's really the easiest way. There are many ways you can. People also come in what is called entrepreneurship application, where people come, make investments in rural areas. If the investment is up to 500,000 or to $1 million,
dollars?
Yes. So that can be used to petition for you in what is called entrepreneurship. And listen, okay?
Amen. I see we have another. Somebody saying, is it fine if your F1 visa expires, but you're still in school? What can they do?
If your F1 visa expires, and yes, what do you mean? F1 visa is there's entry visa. The entry visa as F1 brings you into the country, and so long you're in school, that entry visa can expire as much as it wants to expire. What is important is this: you're in school because here your studies, duration of studies. So long as you're in school, even if the entry visa, the one that brought you into the country, expires, that is not the one we're looking at. We're looking at the fact that now, if you look at your I-94, you indicated their duration of studies. So long as you're in school, you are fine. You don't have to go to get another visa. No, you are fine, so long as you're in school.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
So I think I saw something about a niece. Okay, somebody said, what type of immigration filing can one do for a niece or nephew who just finished high school or undergraduate class in Nigeria to come to the U.S.?
There is no provision for filing for a nephew and nieces or that. The only provision we have is filing for your own children. And then, what I usually say to people, if your niece and your nephew have a mother or father and they are related to you, then you can file for and then when their father or mother comes here, they can file for your niece and nephew.
Praise the Lord. We want to make an appeal. If you want to talk, why don't you? This is a very, very civil gathering. Why don't you raise up your hand? We'll allow you talk. A situation where the side talks is overshadowing the discussion is seriously not a very good one. So we want to appeal to you. You want to talk, please raise up your hand and we will call you. God bless you.
Okay, before we continue, do we have anybody that has a question in the house, not on Slido? Okay. Please, can we give Pastor a microphone? Sorry, sir. Just hold on a second so that those that are watching online can hear you. That's why you need to use the microphone.
No, the microphone is not good.
Hello? Okay. Yeah, what I'm saying, you can file by trying to get admission to to school. Because that's how I got my nephews and all this, here. Just go. The only thing is being a sponsor. I mean, it's not cheap now, to bring somebody here. So, I mean, as far as you go to immigration to file, I don't know, it's not a feasibility. But you can go to a college or any accredited school to try to get admission for that person, and then work his way up.
So what you're saying, sir, is for nephews and nieces, the option they have is to come to school and you can stand as a sponsor for them.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Well, any person can file to come as a student, and any person can file to come here as a visitor. That they are filing, in that case, on their own. They are coming, but in terms of petitioning, I believe my response in terms of petitioning, whether I can petition for a nephew or a niece, you cannot petition for them to become to get them immigrant status. There's a difference between non-immigrant and non-immigrant status. Coming here as a student is non-immigrant status. Coming here as a visitor is non-immigrant status. But there are people you can petition for to come here as immigrants. You cannot petition for your nephew or nieces to come here as immigrants.
Oh, thank you for that clarification. Yeah, Brother Remy.
So I have a follow-up question to that. Can I adopt my nephew or nieces? And what's the process of doing that?
Yes, of course, you can. The answer is yes, you can adopt your nephew so long as they are under the age of 16. If they are above the age of 16, it's going to be a problem for you too. And secondly, the problem that people have, if you live here and you are adopting somebody from foreign country, sometimes you may have a problem bringing them here because there's what is called physical presence requirement. The physical presence requirement is that there's a requirement that you must have lived with that, that adopted child physically for about 2 years. So if you have not done that, that becomes difficult. And so if you live here and you go home and adopt them, then there's a situation that you may not fulfill that physical residence requirement unless you go back to the country and stay with that person for at least 2 years.
Thank you, sir. So, okay, maybe we should just go back to the but. Somebody says if your uncle is a citizen and you are not up to 18 and you are in the country, can they adopt you? So somebody is saying they are physically here, their uncle is here. I'm assuming that this person is saying that physical requirement you just talked about may be fulfilled. Is it possible?
Well, depending on their age again, if they're under the age of 16, yes, possible. Yeah, the adoption is fine, and then the physical requirement will be met because they are here.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So we have another question on the board. It says, I'm a PR, that's probably permanent resident, with 2 kids to file citizenship. Do they need to file I-400, I guess, separately or one? This person is a permanent resident. They want to file for citizenship for themselves and for their kids. So they want to know, is it one filing or separate filing?
Each one person that is filing for citizenship is individual. Even if they are 10, they have to file 10 I-40.
Okay. I think that makes it...
Actually, that's N400.
So I guess the person is thinking about the cost. I know it can be very expensive when you are filing. So somebody said, is it possible to, I think this one is very important, right? It says, is it possible to change status if they had filed for asylum, now that they are married? Can they transition?
Yes, what I usually advise people is, if you have any other way, then withdraw your asylum. And then go for the marriage application process. As you can see, I'm not very fond of asylum. That people can come to my office and I'll say to them, look, I need the money, but I don't like the route you're going. But if you say you want to file it, that's fine. It's up to you. Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
being that I was born and raised here, and I'm listening to what the discussion is about, is it really that blessed to be in America at this day and time?
So,
Because I'd rather go where you come from. I'm ready to leave him.
no, Brother Frank, can we just listen, please?
That's very important.
Now, so this is a very, very valid question. And Brother Frank, I think I will give my own opinion. You see, something about life is everything is about perspective. Some people, when they look at where they are coming from and the alternative that is available here, this is a better country for them to come to. Despite its imperfections, America still offers a lot more opportunities than to where people are coming from. So the key thing is, it's all about how you are saying it. There are opportunities here. Do you see them? Somebody who comes from outside might say, well, where I'm coming from, I see more opportunities here. So I think it's a matter of context. Somebody could be born here and not see it, but somebody else can come from outside and be able to see it.
Well, what I'm going to say, this is actually an area that, if you notice what I said before, during the introduction, I said that remember that you are from somewhere. So be patient. If it works out, fine. If it doesn't work out, do not think that. I say this, America is a great country, and I enjoy it here. But America is still not heaven on earth. Okay? So, so that is everywhere you go have its own problems. There are people, just like as you said, there are foreigners flowing to Nigeria. In fact, when I went to Nigeria last, over 25% of the people in that flight are white people going to Nigeria to reside, while Nigerians are flying out. Okay.
Thank you, sir. We have a question on the board that says, someone has the asylum case pending for over 7 years. What can they do?
Well, let me say this. I'm going to ask you to look at the basis for which you filed that asylum and think about whether you're going to withdraw it, because you most likely that asylum might be denied and their case will end up in immigration court. The reason why I'm saying this is this: there's a difference between application with USCIS and when your case is in the immigration court. When your case is in immigration court, then it's a court process. And I tell you that when you come to my office, I will tell you the minimum. You're probably not going to like it. And at the same time, there's no guarantee that you're going to win your immigration court proceeding. So unless you actually have proven persecution, politically inclined, or religiously inclined, things that if you go back to your country, the government will be hunting for you, then think about withdrawing that application, because I know you've got enough work permit by now.
Somebody says, can they apply for citizenship after 2 years of being a permanent resident, or do they need to wait for 3 years? But I think the person that has this question, you need to help us, because is either your permanent residence, is it based on marriage, or you came in yourself? That is what determines how long it takes for you to file. So that person, if you can add more context.
Well, I'll add context to it. If you're married and living with your spouse, then you're qualified to file for citizenship within 3 years. But you're not, if your green card is based not on marriage, then you have to wait for 5 years, okay, to qualify.
Okay, somebody has a question here. It says, what type of jobs can you get if you apply with a tax ID when you don't have papers? So I'm guessing this person has a tax ID, but they don't have papers.
Tax ID does not give you the right to work. Any person can get a tax ID. And the thing about is, anyone that is here will make a living, and in fact, you cannot convince any person that you've not been doing some work here and there. The only thing is this: when you go to the immigration interview, do not ever tell them that you worked without work permit. They may not ask you for that. They will not ask you that question, are you working? No, but if you volunteer, and this is critically important, and these are some of those little things that people do not know. They're not going to ask you that question, but if you volunteer yourself, then they will deny your application because you violated the law.
Okay. Somebody says, I think we answered this one. What file, in quotes, can you file in order for a relative to visit for a major event such as graduation, birthday, important milestone?
Well, the thing, you can invite any person here, and then more or less they're just an invitation letter to them. It's up to them to use that invitation letter to apply for interview at the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria. The only thing that the embassy will be looking at is whether somebody here is sponsoring them when they come here. If they have a sponsor that can finance their stay here, they will consider that. If you do not have a sponsor here and that person has a means, has a lot of income in Nigeria, you provide them your bank statement, your business you're doing, then they will entertain an interview. That doesn't mean that they're going to grant it. But if it's a wedding, a lot of times they will grant a visa to parents and immediate relatives to come for a wedding. If that wedding is actually properly documented. You have wedding invitations, you have all these things that showing that in fact you have a wedding that's going on. Yes.
Okay, someone said, okay, if you file for asylum, can your employer file for H-1B, or is marriage the only option? So I guess this person, they have asylum filing, they're already working, and they're exploring, can their employer file for them?
Just like I said, if your employer is thinking about filing for you, you might as well withdraw your asylum. But if you're, whether or not your employer is filing for you, then while your asylum claim is going on, you've made a decision that it's either it works out or I'm going back to Nigeria or to Africa or to Kenya or wherever you come from. Because if it's denied, your case is going to immigration court.
Okay. I think someone was raising his hand. Let's take somebody from the audience. Pastor Mustafa.
So my question is, if your brother or your sister is already here as a student, and you want to file for him or her, does it still take that same 12 years? Or in the time when he's here, can he work, or he will not have permission to work while staying the whole of the 10 years or 12 years?
If your brother is here going to school, a student, that means that his visa is still current. You can file for him, but the requirement time period will still be the same. There is nothing that says it has to be 10 years or 12 years. The process is this. There are only certain amount of visa allocated each year, about 55,000. Now, the immediate relatives get those, when they file, they get their own right away out of that 55,000. So the balance left is usually not enough. So in a year, there may not be enough for immediate relatives that will flow to non-immediate, what we call preference class. Preference class are non-immediate relatives. Your brother and sister are preference class. Before we have enough visa saved from all the allocations, it takes a long time. So for that reason, whether they're here or back home, it still takes the same amount of time. But while there are students here, they can actually get work permit. They can go to the foreign affairs or whatever the department in their schools, and ask, maybe tell them that they're experiencing hardship, and their school can approve for them to get work permit. Okay, who they can work with. Or some schools will even give them the ability to work within the campus. So yes, students that come here have more privilege than non-students. Okay? But once their visa expires, whether the visa have been approved for them, they cannot get it here. Yeah, they have to go back. So if you are applying for non-immediate relative that the visa have expired, they cannot get their green card here. They'll be asked to go back to the country where they come from. But the problem with that is this. When they go back, they have incurred what is called unlawful presence in the United States. And when they incurred unlawful presence, some of them will not be allowed to come here, depending on how long they were here illegally. It could be 10-year ban or 3-year ban, depending if you are here for at least less than 1 year, it may be a 3-year ban. But if you're here for more than 1 year, it's a 10-year ban. So it depends.
Praise God. I just want to throw this out there. I know we have a lot of questions. This cannot serve as a legal advice.
It's not a legal advice.
There are specific cases that I'm seeing pop up that you need to consult a lawyer. So please, we cannot take all of the questions because I see some questions as they're popping up. Barrister Nwara's cards, they are going to be available with the ushers at the end of service. So there are some of these questions that we cannot start digging into. Somebody says, if you're coming to study here from Nigeria and you got denied 3 times, can you change embassy or go to another country for the same process? So I think this, Brother Brown, you probably see what this person is explaining. It's all about context. What do you advise, sir?
Let me say this to you. The U.S. embassies are all tied together by, once you go to one embassy, they have your information all over the world. So it doesn't matter whether you change embassy or whatever. If the reason to deny you is there, they already have that information. So I would say it depends on probably think about what you are presenting to them, whether it makes sense. And a lot of times they're looking at when people apply for, let's say, visitor's visa, they're looking for the possibility, is this guy or this lady going to come back from this visit? Then they try to ask, does he have family in the country? Does he have, they married? Does he have children? Does he have good business? They will look into all this. If you don't have any of those, they say, this person is not coming back. Okay? So it depends. So really, when you go to, even if you go to Ivory Coast or go to Kenya, they will still know that you've applied before.
Thank you, sir. Okay, somebody said, I'm just going to go to this highlighted question. It says, what is the consequence of using someone's social security card to work?
In one program I attended last week, yes. In one program I attended last week, I talked about the rule of law. The rule of law is this, that you must obey the law no matter how minor you think it is. Using another person's social security is a crime. It's a crime punishable by imprisonment. So that's a violation of the immigration, or not just immigration law, but criminal law as well. So immigration law is different from criminal law, but so you can violate an immigration law, and that's not criminal, but this one is criminal. So I will advise you not to do that.
Okay. Okay, someone says, what does it take to change status from? I think we talked about visiting to student. Okay, from visiting to a student. So maybe they are here on visiting. How can they transition to students?
Now, if your visitor visa has not expired, the time you are given to leave has not expired, yes, you can apply for change of status from one status to the other. But once, if your visa has expired, you cannot get a change of status, even if you qualify. In other words, if you are given, let's say, September 10 to leave the country, and you did not leave on September 11, you file for change of status, you're not going to get it because you already overstayed. Okay.
We have somebody with a question now.
Yes.
Praise the Lord. I was wondering why other countries have been, offered diversity visiting visa. Nigeria is out of context. Is there any possibility to
Visitor visa?
diversity visa lottery?
Okay. Well, there are countries that have actually, the United States deemed that they have a lot of people here in the United States. So in the lottery visa, diversity visa, talking about what you call lottery visa, is made afforded to places where they think that they don't have a lot of people in the United States. For example, that may not be available in India because they have a lot of people in India, Indians here. So it may not be available in China because they don't have a lot of Chinese here. There was a time they didn't have a lot of Nigerians here. They made it available to them at the time. But Nigerians have a lot of presence here in the United States now. So they're offering it to countries that do not.
Okay, before we take your questions, sir, so somebody says, how do you do a legitimate business here with a visiting visa? So they come visiting, can they actually do business?
Yes, they want you to do business. They want your money. So yes, if you want to do business here, you can own a business here, you can operate a business here, no matter what your status is. You can get a tax ID number. That's where tax ID number is important. And then you can, invest money, bring money from your country, which a lot of politicians do, but they use it to buy houses. So, but if you make those investments, just like I said, in rural areas, and you make investments of 500,000 or 1 million, you can get a visa through that means. So you can do an investment here. Yeah? They want your money.
So is it dependent on country you're coming from? Can you come from any part of the world and do that?
You do not. It depends. It comes from any part of the world. You can come here and do investment. There's something that other countries do. Indians, for example, when they come here, they buy hotels, they buy all this, and they use those to bring a lot of their folks in here. Mm-hmm. And so you can do business no matter no matter where you come from. All they care. That's why they're encouraging you to come and do business in America. They will make the environment as good as possible for you to invest here. That's what they're looking for. No, it does not. You're still a visitor, but then you still have to leave when your visa expires, before your visa expires.
No, I just think that what that does is it gives you a paper trail to show that you are doing business. When you are filing for that business visa, there will be enough ground for you to be able to file. Yes. Yeah, let's take Pastor Ansafo, then we'll come to you, Lumide.
Praise the Lord. From what I've seen, it looks like there are some states that are more liberal. They don't chase the non-immigrant. They don't, look for them. There are some states where they are, and nobody worries them, and they do their normal business and get away with it. Is that true? And what are those states?
Yeah, there are not just states. There are cities even within a state. There are, for example, New York is a sanctuary city, right? If you're an immigrant, whatever, you don't have to go to New York, you can get a driver's license without papers. So there are sanctuary states like New York, like California. North Carolina is not. And there was a time in Mecklenburg County where they have this thing that if when an immigrant is picked up, let's say stopped, just for traffic violation, they will take them to jail. So when they take them to jail and they see that they don't have any more papers, now you are not heading to removal from there. Now this current sheriff came and said they're not going to continue with that policy, so they abolished that in Mecklenburg County. There are other North Carolina counties that still do that. So it depends on where you are in North Carolina. So you can say that Mecklenburg County is a liberal place to stay for immigrants, unlike some other counties in North Carolina. So it depends. Yeah.
Sorry, back to the question you asked. Two questions. The first one, on the list of those who are like can do business here, Nigeria is exempted. I think you should check that. Because I checked that.
No,
Nigeria is not on the list of those who can invest here.
Well, the thing, no, let me say this.
The second question, the second one is, I also did the tax ID, and I was denied.
You are
Exactly, I was denied.
Well, again, it depends on what you provided to them. The thing is this, I would ask you to maybe consult a lawyer to do that for you. And another thing is this, when you are doing a legitimate business in the United States, it doesn't matter where you come from. When you come to buy, let's say, an apartment complex, they don't ask you, what country do you come from? It's a question, if you have the money to invest and the money is legitimate, you buy it, you do the business. What you are saying is this, during Trump administration, because of the persecutions against Christians, that's the excuse that Trump used, of course. There was some people that was being denied visa. And as a matter of fact, that policy is favored people, the same people that he was intending to stop. Because those are the people that actually come to this country, get a visa and come. But immigrants, people whose family want to bring here, are the people that are being penalized. So for that policy, when you look at it, you say, what policy is this that you put in place, yet the people who are persecuting the Christians or whatever are still coming here freely, when those who are trying to bring their family legally are not allowed to bring their family here? So it doesn't make sense. And I was hoping that the Biden administration will, simply abolish that particular policy by Trump administration.
Okay, sir. So I see a question here, but I don't see it on the. Somebody's asking that if you are a pastor, what kind of visa can you apply for to be in the U.S.? So if somebody is a pastor, how can they apply?
Well, they can apply for what is called R visa in the embassy, coming here for religious purpose. But R visa is still non-immigrant visa. When you still come, you still got to leave, okay? When they give you unless there's a petition for you by a church. Yes. And if a church is petitioning for you, then you may have a chance of also staying here to do your religious work within that church and be able to get a green card through the process. Yeah.
Sorry, I think the pastor there is raising his hand.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. Yeah. It's just in response to my brother's question. It also depends, actually. I tried getting a tax ID. I couldn't get, but somebody directed me to go to credit union, and I got. Yeah.
That was good.
Okay, so so it depends on the institution. Mostly the big banks would mostly turn you down. The credit union are a bit more liberal because of KYC and all those regulations. But there's a question that I saw here. I don't see it. Okay, I think we see it there. Somebody says, I am married and my husband is in Nigeria. Our case has been documentarily qualified with, I don't know what MVC is, and they've been waiting for interview days since April. So the question here is, what can they do?
I mentioned this previously when I was in my introduction. If your paper was just documentally approved in April, then you still have a long time to wait. Because there are people who have been documentally approved since 2019, and they are still waiting for interview. In other words, in the pandemic, they used the pandemic to close when they close the embassy temporarily. Now they are only very accepting only few interviews on the immigrant visa category. So I don't know when they're going to fully, open that. But right now, it is difficult. They're calling interviews, but not as much as they used to do before. So you have some time to wait, really. I want you to have patience because it's going to take a while.
Let me just add something to that. As children of God, when you are waiting, there's something you can do. You can also ask God to fast track your process. There are certain things that you might say, well, it's impossible. Just trust God to do what he will do, and you will see him come through for you. So I think the question this person asked, why is it taking so long? You've also already explained. The pandemic, one of the fallouts is there's a backlog. The embassies were shut for 9 months, and now they are taking very exceptional cases. I don't know if there are any questions in the audience. Any questions? I think we've talked about changing status from asylum applicants. I think we've answered this. Can you scroll up on the question board, sir? Maybe there's anyone there that we didn't touch on. Recent ones. Okay. Somebody said, once deported, can you come back? My cousin was deported.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If just one is deported and a loved one petition for them, there will be what is called a 10-year ban on coming back to the United States. But still, they will eventually come. There have been a number of clients that had this problem. They came, but it will require a 10-year hold. Wait before you can come back, really.
Okay. I think we've answered some of these. Somebody said, dependence of someone coming to the U.S. to study on study visa, granted visa. So I guess this person is saying they have dependents, kids, husband, spouse. Would they be granted visa?
When people are coming on F1 visa, they can come with their spouse who will get a F2 visa, things like that, and their children cannot get F2 visa. So, but, that's at least what they used to do before. So yes, your family, immediate family can come on F2 visa. Because in that case, they're coming because an F1. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, if one is done with school, and then you probably had to do work for some time with, when you are done with school, they give you OPT, yeah. So you're done with school, and you want to go and read your master's. Do you need to go back to the country?
No.
Okay.
No, you don't need to go back to the country. Make sure that the OPT time, that before that expires, that you go into get you admitted into the school, okay? Because you don't want your F1 visa to expire. If it expires, then you need to apply for reinstatement. So while you are doing the OPT and before it expires, make sure you immediately apply to your master's program and get admitted into it right away, okay?
Okay. So we have 2 minutes, 17 seconds to go. Any more questions? Okay, so before we let the barrister sit down, because he's been on his feet for over 1 hour now, before we let him sit down, can we just please appreciate him?
Well, please, because this is a family this thing, I want to, I will be mistaken if I don't say something. Please, as an attorney, I give a lot of advice to families sometimes who have problems, and what I'm going to say to you is this. If you have a troubled marriage, work on it. The second one is not going to be good. Okay. The second one is not going to be good. Work on your marriage, and do not simply adopt the culture that you came into. The culture that you came into, one of the things we had to offer this culture was our strong family values. Now, that's the major thing we offer them. Now, if we have to come and abandon that family value and adopt the family value they are proud of, then I think we have gone wrong. I've told my wife that anywhere she's going, I'm following her. Yeah. I said to her, she said she is going to be killing. I'm just following her. She said, going to her parents' home. I said, okay, let's go there. Because what we have is ours. Once you get married, he said, you were once separate, but now you are one. That means everything belongs to you all. It's not you are married, you are one when it comes to my money, but you are separate when it comes to your money, or something like that. Or this is our children, this is our this, but when it comes to money, suddenly we are separate. So please, I'm saying this because that's one of the embarrassments I have when I see a lot of African marriages divorcing. Divorce has become a culture for us. I say, where did we get this? Where did we get this? So that's why I'm going to leave that for you. Thank you.